Good ice cream is sweet, but Jesus is far sweeter. I have a special guest in here today. His name's Mike, friend of mine. We go back a little ways. We were in a congregation together back in Maryland and reconnected recently. We'll talk a little bit about how that happened. But first, before we get into all of that, before we get into what we'd like to try to do together going forward, I want to give you a chance to meet him, get to know him a little bit, let him share a little bit about how sweet Jesus has been in his life. So, Mike, welcome. And
thank you.
Yeah,
Glad to be here.
Great to have you. Why don't you tell everybody just how sweet Jesus is? What makes Jesus so sweet?
For me, when I think of the sweet, that would probably be the wine with the body and blood. That's my favorite chapter in the Bible, where the White Horse Inn used to joke that was Jesus' church shrinkage seminar, where he said that.
John 6, yes.
Yes. The one who eats my flesh will live forever. The one who drinks my body, that's true spiritual food. So
I think I actually just referenced that on Sunday or the week before that. Sometime very recently, yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's the sweetest thing for me, because I'm not much for delayed gratification. So
you and 330 million other Americans.
So if you're at a church where they have communion every week, then you only gotta make it a few days till you get your medicine.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although it does kind of depend. We have some in our family. My wife had her 4 kids. And some of us really complain if the wine isn't good.
Oh.
So, there's some churches use some really crummy wine. It's
because they have a lot of it. It costs money. Like, it's expensive.
Yeah, actually some of the cheaper stuff is really...
It's pretty good.
Really good. They just choose...
Yeah.
It might even be more expensive and terrible.
Oh wow. That's funny.
So a double terrible there. But, so the wine, so you just like to drink, or what is it about the wine that...
Yeah, I like that. I didn't read that much of it, but it costs like $50. But like, there's a book by Martin Chemnitz, where The Teenagers of Christ, where he gets into how Jesus can fill up the universe bodily with his infinite nature, even though his human nature doesn't have that power.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like Superman.
And you're a comic guy, right?
Yeah, Superman's my favorite. So like, the Pastor Bierman from your seminary, like, he was talking about that, how like the presence of God apart from Christ is horrifying, like Cthulhu, the monster. Like just terror, like beyond understanding.
Yeah.
But the presence of the bodily presence of Jesus, like, he was the baby in the manger, and he shed his blood and died for our sins, and he rose again on the 3rd day. So like we can be comforted by his body being with us.
Yeah, pretty much anyone that ever encountered God, pretty much, as one of my other professors at seminary would say, filled their pants. Pooped themselves, right?
Yeah.
Or worse. You got Moses on the mountain. Don't touch the mountain, right? Don't come near the mountain. It's this crazy scene, thunder, and all kinds of just scary, ominous things going on. And then Moses is gone for like 40 days and 40 nights, and they just assume he's dead. He's been consumed, and that's the whole golden calf thing. And then you got Isaiah, who will go, whom shall I send, who will go for us? But before that, Isaiah's flat on his face, just woe is me, I'm undone. I'm a man of unclean lips. I dwell amongst the people of unclean lips. You've got, even in the New Testament, Peter, right? Depart from me, for I am a sinful man. That is the right understanding. I was just talking about this on Sunday. Or maybe it was Transfiguration.
Yeah.
But then
that was scary.
Moses would talk to God face to face, and he got this glow, and he came down the mountain, and people were like,
yeah, they were scared of him.
Cover yourself up, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like, it seemed like him, and then like the disciples, like there's sometimes where it seems like Jesus is scary, but then the disciples are always like mouthing off, so he couldn't have been that scary. And then, like, Moses is always mouthing off too, and he's like talking to God face to face. And then like Abraham was talking to him, and then he was like trying to do a deal where he's like, if there's only 5 and 6, it's like they weren't super scared of him. So I think that's my my default always goes to like, it's like the Adam in the garden thing with the leaves, like I want to hide, and like just my default is like I didn't read my Bible, or I didn't pray or something. And I don't actually read my Bible that much anymore, probably, compared to what I used to. But that was actually something when I was a kid where I don't know where I got this idea. I don't think anybody ever actually told me, but I just got this idea when I was like 8 or 9 that if you didn't read your Bible every day, you weren't a Christian. And so like I was able to do it for like a year, and I read through like the Living Bible, like the whole thing. But like I'm autistic and ADHD, so like I couldn't figure out like what parts are important. So I have pages and pages where I like literally underlined every single thing. Because it would be like this is some story or something. I'm like, I might need to find that later. I should underline it. But yeah, it was cute.
So you're kind of, what you're saying is you're kind of like in your head a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I enjoyed reading it. It's just I got older, and then I didn't feel like doing it anymore. And then like once you miss a couple weeks, and you're just like, oh, and then I thought I was lost. So like most of my life has been fearing like I was under God's wrath. So, and then like they'd have like week of prayer kind of thing in school, where like somebody'd come in to like high school or grade school or something, kind of get everybody hyped up for Jesus, and yeah, we're gonna do it. But it always went back to that, where you got to do these certain things every day, and like I could never really do that. Like when like the pastor was there, like I wanted to do it, but like I just like I like to read the Bible. It's like I can't make it on my own. So like I actually go to like 2 different churches now. Like I go to the Seventh-day Adventist Church with my wife, and then I go to this like kind of Word of Faith church in Frederick. Like that my I guess it's kind of my son-in-law. He's cousins with the pastor, so started going there. And so like if I can be with other people, like at a prayer meeting or like a study group or something, like their kind of energy kind of like it seems more real, and then like starts making more sense. But like if I'm on my own, I don't last that long. So it's like when I'm kind of like a lizard. Like they have to lay on like a hot rock sometimes. They can't generate their own body heat.
So you're cold-blooded?
Yeah. So
yeah.
Like has created a situation. A lot of my life, other Christians have kind of been like, they don't really think I'm a Christian, which has kind of hurt my feelings. Because like when I do get warmed up, then I start acting like them. Then they'll be like, "Oh, Mike just got converted." It's like, that was rotten. Why'd you say that?
Well, I mean, you kind of insinuated yourself that something was happening, right? That their energy sort of helps you overcome the...
But it's like I already had the Holy Spirit, so it's like, it doesn't warm up to where it shows until like I'm around other believers, you know. But
well, it's not just you.
I mean,
By the way. There are just other people that are better at faking it. they need the rest of us also.
Yeah, because when you're by yourself, it just like, especially with like YouTube and social media, it's just everything else seems like way more important.
Yeah. Distractions abound.
You're gonna start going crazy. Like whenever I don't go to church for a while, and then I go to church, and then I'm like it's really good, and then I'm just like, I feel like I came to myself, like I can think again. I'm like, oh, like I was thinking some really crazy stuff. Like, I'm glad I'm back. It's like it's like stuff that makes sense to you when you're like out and about, like, and then when you go back to church, you're just like, why was I even thinking about that? Like, that's stupid. Like, that would be dumb. Like, you know, and it's all separated to pride and ego and, you know, I didn't get my way or I didn't get what I wanted and, like, making too big a deal out of things. And then, like, you go to church and then it's just like, everybody here is forgiven. You're all fine. It's like, oh, okay. I won't kill anybody or try to attack, you know, be mean because, like, I already got everything I wanted. It's like, I guess I'll just chill.
and that's sort of, I think what you're getting at there is, you know, you started out with like, oh, I love the wine. That's the sweetest part about Jesus. And then, you know, this idea that God is sort of other and horrifying and scary, and that's like your natural state, is that's how you kind of understand God or experience God, at least in your mind, or think about God maybe. But then the nearness of the sacrament, the body, the blood of Jesus, the bread, the wine, a lot of different views on how that all happens, but or, you know, what exactly is or isn't happening, but Jesus clearly gave us this meal, and there is something incredibly sweet about it. Yeah, actually sweet as you drink, and then, oh man, I have the risen, living Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I have his body, the body that overcame death in the grave, coursing through my veins right now. The forgiveness that his body won, and then the strength to overcome all kinds of things that's coming through. Obviously, like you were also getting at that, oh yeah, I screw up, and I screw up again, and then I screw up again. So, but yet, still strength to take up our cross, whatever it may be, however it may manifest itself, and then follow Jesus again. Get back on the horse.
Yeah, because like you ran out of gas like pretty fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't like these people like Jacob, like he had a vision with the ladder, but then like I don't think anything else really happened for a long time. And then when he went and he was gonna meet his brother, and then that was Jesus, right? Like the angel of the Lord. And then like that was a long time between. It might have been like 20 years or something. Like he didn't have a church to go to or anything. Like, so it's like we really got it good.
We do. You know, but he he also was kind of out in the field with sheep, right? He didn't have a device that was pinging him endlessly, and
right.
there is something about the wilderness and sort of the closeness. The more away you are, the more you can kind of be closer to God. You can hear God. You can, it's quieter.
Yeah.
There is also Jesus being tempted out in the wilderness too. So there's,
yeah.
I guess both of those things.
Yeah, it's like a purging, or like a furnace kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like, I went, like once I got into college, then like I went pretty hard towards like being an atheist, and like that and my, some addiction issues, that kind of led to me getting divorced, like in my 30s, and my first kind of family, like, it was kind of bad, like it kind of blew up, and so I was across town and looking up at the ceiling and kind of like this little green shack, and just like, this was not my plan for my life. It's just like, and then, like, I have a big part of me is like, really want to, like, be thought of as a good person, or a noble person, or a moral person. And, like, as a preacher's kid, so it's like, you get a lot of attention as a preacher's kid kind of thing. And, things with my addiction and stuff, it's like, well, that's not really something preacher's kids do. So it was like, it was very stingy, and really hard for my family. And so I was just like, huh. So, like, when I met my wife now online, it was, she was getting ready to, like, get off of there, and she felt like, for some reason, just like, well, just answer this one more, and she said she was looking for a Christian guy, and I said, well, I'm the pastor's kid, does that count for anything? So she's like, okay, so we started talking, and then, like, our first date, we went back to a Seventh-day Adventist church, and it turns out I had went to her sister. Her sister was a graphic designer, too, and I was, like, thinking, like, I hope I was nice to her, didn't do anything really bad. But, yeah. So, yeah, we were in a church, and I was like, well, I haven't caught on fire yet, and then, Pastor Jason, like, he was really smart. He's like a youth pastor. He gave me some, like, apologetics books, and, kind of one thing led to another. It's like, before all that happened, like, I was in a band, like, we were, like, white guys playing Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I play bass, and then it was, like, me and the guitarist were, like, metalheads, and then we're trying to play, like, backbeat blues music, and, like, the drummer was a metalhead, too, but he could do it, but, like, there's this thing where the stick hits the snare, like, just a little split second later than you think it's going to, and it makes the whole, like, all the music, it makes the vibe kind of feel like it's kind of floating. But because it was two of us and one of him, we were always trying to race ahead to give it that rock beat. So, like, I literally had to watch his, like, hand come down and the stick hit the drum and then hit my finger, and I had to keep doing that because it totally didn't feel right, and then eventually it started feeling right, and I was like, oh. It was really weird. But I could never do it. Like whenever, if we didn't practice for like 3 weeks, I'd have to start over, because, like, I just couldn't feel it.
Yeah.
But it was kind of, it was kind of like how going back to church was, because it was like, it made no sense to me, and, like Pastor Jason just said, well, just go to church, like, read these apologetics books, and don't try to believe, but just put yourself in the place where there's other believers, and then if it's working, like, you'll just kind of go with the flow, and then eventually at one point you'll just kind of look back and be like, oh, I think I believe this. So it's like I kind of wanted to do that, so then that's what I did, and it did work, like the way he said. Like the first time I went to this, it was like a church plant thing where it was for like people downtown, like that were homeless or like had drug problems or something. It was like a lay-led church. And the guy John there, his sermon, the first thing was like, "The fool says in his heart, there is no God." I was like, "Dang it."
You knew you were coming.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So the one thing I did, me and my wife got married, and then like my addiction issues kind of started coming back, and but then like I started having like scrupulosity, which is that fear of God as being like a tyrant or like inscrutable. Like you can't, like the way it would be for me is like I would think about myself and like my desire to sabotage myself, and then I would have like a sort of an innocent decision to make. But for somebody with scrupulosity, it's not innocent because, like, say, like the example I like to give is like that show Blue Bloods on CBS with Tom Selleck.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like a regular detective show, just regular TV. But like every once in a while, they'll go in like a bar where there's like dancers or something, and it's like I really shouldn't be watching that, but it's not like a super big deal. But my scrupulous mind would be like, well, is that making provision for the flesh? Are you setting yourself up for failure? Is this really like a way that you're secretly trying to get in the door of these things that you struggle with, So it would just, and once that took hold, then it would just, I'd go for an hour on, like, no, I shouldn't watch that show. And then I'd flip the other way and go the hour like, no, this is stupid. Like, that's just a stupid, that makes no sense. But you're making provision for the flesh. And that could go for days. Where I would literally be an exhausted wreck and I couldn't function.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was actually a pretty big deal. But, like, I got in this group online called the Scrupulosity Group, or the Scroop Group, and then there was also this book called In Christianity Cure OCD, and basically the only way out of it, like the book talks about Martin Luther and the Pilgrim's Progress guy and Teresa of Avila, and basically, like, OCD is a responsibility illness kind of thing, where like if somebody's like has OCD about like normal stuff, like they feel like it's their responsibility to wash their hands or else they're going to get sick, or they might get someone else sick, or it might be their responsibility to check the oven light to make sure that it's off before everyone goes to bed so the house doesn't catch on fire. Or like in the book, this guy would like there was he got a police scanner or a scanner, and he would listen for like accidents. And then after the accident's over, he felt like for some reason it was his job to go there and to like sweep up all the glass, because if he didn't sweep up all the glass, their tire might break in and they could maybe die, and it would be his fault.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's like on one level of the brain, like like this is stupid, but the amygdala, the part of your brain that's like the fire alarm, it's just going and so like when he goes to sweep off the road, like he'll feel better, but then he could be like literally like 2 minutes on his ride home and he's starting to get the itch again, and he's like, well, I better check the scanner because it might be someone else. So like for me, it was like, well, I wanted to buy a certain video game or something, like, is this making provision for the flesh? Or so it all had to do with like, is this unrepentant sin? Because unrepentant sin, this is another thing with OCD, unrepentant sin can't be forgiven. And there was a Lutheran pastor on the Scroop Group, and he's like, all sin is unrepentant sin. That's what he would do. He would just short us out. Like every little thing we try to put up that was like, we're separated from God, he's like, no, you're not.
Yeah.
So he's like, you're imagining that you're on a tightrope walking over the Grand Canyon. He's like, you're on like the San Francisco Bridge. Like your weight is is so insignificant compared to God's forgiveness and God's provision for you and love for you that you can jump and down you can jump up and down on the road all you want. You're not going to make the bridge fall down. But like we're thinking of it as we're like walking on a tightrope, like, ooh, So, yeah, I don't really struggle with that too much anymore. But part of that was like, it's called like impartial observer. Like basically the only way out of it is to like say God is completely responsible for my salvation. So like that's what Luther did, and the Pilgrim's Progress guy, and the Teresa of Avila. Like basically in the book it talks about like saying like God is completely sovereign, and that if I were to be judged and go to hell, like that'd be okay, because that's where God says I need to be. So it's literally not my problem. So like, I mean, it's not good if like if a regular person would do that. Like a regular person shouldn't do that. But like if you're OCD, like you're like, I'm gonna go to hell, I'm gonna go to hell, I'm gonna go to hell. That's like, okay, like you're not supposed to be thinking about hell all the
time. Yeah, I was thinking that like if a regular person, if you just say, God's forgiveness is just so, anything you do is so insignificant, that basically gets people to, well, I guess I'll just do what I want, right? And then they indulge the flesh and they do all the things.
Yeah.
Which turns out to be bad for them and people around them and everything, but it's not that it's not true.
Yeah. Yeah, I do that too. I mean, that's part of it. What makes it tricky is because it kind of flips from one side to the other. It's like I'm gonna be super rigid, and then I'm just gonna do whatever I feel like, and then it's like either way, it's like I'm not really connected to anyone else or connected to God or even myself, So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't really struggle that much with this scrupulosity anymore, and part of that is also like that verse that says if a man looks at a woman lustfully in his heart, he's committed adultery.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in my opinion, that has been taught like very poorly in America. Yeah. Because the way that it's been taught is basically, if you find a woman attractive, then that is lust. And it's like, that's not lust.
Yeah.
Like, she's attractive. Like, the Bible also says thou shalt not lie.
Yeah, so, before we got into this sort of the green room, whatever you want to call it, we were talking about some of my older podcasts, and there was a series I did with some Catholic friends on theology of the body, and they actually have a fairly well thought out understanding of what lust actually is, and based on their explanation, lust is not just about sexual stuff. And I think I'd have to go back and listen to it because it's been a long time. It's been a couple of years probably since I've thought about this deeply at all. But you could lust after a lot of things. And
that's just idolatry.
It's sort of like the good thing that God created is not something I'm just admiring, but now I want it solely for my own purposes and desires.
Yeah.
It's not about, I have no role in giving and receiving. I am just purely taking and using however I want outside of the will of God.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you shouldn't go around.
Ring and load of the rings.
Yeah. But, I mean, most guys, you're going to get yourself in trouble. You start talking about the truth of all the beauty you're surrounded by.
Yeah, that really messed me up. I mean, it really hurt me. Because what that does is it basically, you have to use up all your willpower. Like, you get a certain amount of willpower for the day. And, like, you have to use it up, like, just to be like, I'm not a normal person. like, I don't think girls are attractive, but I do. And then, so then by the time it's the end of the day, like, your willpower is already gone. And then it's like, well, I'm already a crappy person because I've been fighting this all day. I might as well do something, you know? So it's like, it really, it's kind of like you're in a firefight, and then there's like chickens running around, and then you're kind of like, you're getting scared by these chickens that aren't going to actually hurt you. And then like the bad guys come in, and then you use all your bullets. You know? So it's like, don't do that.
Yeah.
So, like now, it's, you know, it's like, you know, girls are pretty. That's okay. That doesn't mean that I'm a bad person or that you're a bad person. It's girls are pretty. It's not a big deal. You know? And but like when you're taught from a young age, like in church and stuff, like a very like high controlling, very legalistic, very like denial of anything that is related to desire. Ooh, that's bad. You should be scared of that. But it's like be fruitful and multiply. Like, what does that mean? Like that's a command of God. Like, that's placed in our hearts by God. Like, it's not evil. Like, Jesus was a sexual person. You know, like, we're all sexual beings, whether we're in a relationship or not. It's just part of who we are. But, like, we're taught to, like, it's almost like, you know, like if we're gay or something, like we're taught, like, squish it, squish it, squish it, squish it. And it's like, you can't squish something, you know, so, just, yeah. So, I mean...
Well, it's like the Lutheran sort of understanding of law and gospel, that, you know, the law has this way, the flesh has this way of rebelling against everything. And the more you crush it with the law, the more it wants to just, like, you know, rear its ugly head. But the only way out of it is sort of the gospel, like you were talking about earlier with this idea of the tightrope, where, like, oh my goodness, like, yeah, it's all up to me. Like, if I don't do this, I'm going to fall to, you know, a painful death, terrifying, painful death. But actually, you're on this Golden Gate Bridge, and it's pretty sturdy, and you're pretty insignificant as far as weight goes on that bridge. And
you can jump off it.
Yeah, right, you can. I mean, if you really want to be dumb about it, but you are secure, safe, right? Like, God's grace is sufficient, as God tells Paul, right? He's dealing with something. We don't know exactly what it is, but God's grace is way more than we're capable of breaking. Oh, what's the right way to phrase that? Like, we can't.
We can't wear him out.
Exactly. We can't wear him out. We can't out-sin his forgiveness. We can't. It's not necessarily supposed to be licensed to do it, but in the moment when you're terrified, like, that terrified feeling is actually good in a sense if it turns you back to Jesus, turns you back to the cross, or like you said earlier, the wine, right? The bread and the wine, the body and the blood, the forgiveness, the Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life, right? That's how you kind of started. Jesus says this crazy thing: you got to eat my flesh and drink my blood, or you can't be my disciple. A whole bunch of people leave church shrinkage program, and then he turns to his disciples and he says, "You want to go too?" And Peter just says, "Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. There is no place else we can go, even if we wanted to, and maybe we sort of want to, because you do sound kind of crazy, but you're also Jesus." I mean, that's got to be one of the most honest moments in Scripture, right? Like, I guess, but I can't, you know, like, I'm captive to this grace that you keep, right? So.
So fast forward maybe like 20 years, like, I've been a graphic designer since I was like a couple years out of college. I kind of stayed at one place like for most of that. Like, it's hard for me like I have started taking medication, so it's getting easier. But like being able to like executive functioning, like where you're like handling different tasks at the same time, or starting things or stopping things, like that's really hard for me. Um, and like when I was a kid, like my dad told me like he's like I always knew you were gonna be an artist because I asked you to draw like a picture of Saturn, and then you like drew the ring, but then you stopped the ring like where the circle would go, and then you drew the circle. So it's like a kid's gonna be an artist when he grows. So it's like that was always like my like plan, and like I went to school for it, and then like I was able to do it. But then when I got older, then it's like it was really hard for me to find a job, and I got in somewhere as a temp, and then I finally worked my way in. But then I was like after like 5 years, and like it was when we used to work in person there before COVID. It was like this big skyscraper, so it was like terrifying, but it was also kind of like if I made it there and then like I went home, like ooh, I made it, like I'm a professional. Like 'cause my other job, I was like in a small company in like Hagerstown, and it was cool, but like this felt like I was in the big leagues kind of thing, you know.
Nice.
And but like the whole time when I was working my way up there, like it would be very painful because like I might only at that time I was a temporary person, so like I might only get like 1 day a week or something, you know.
Yeah.
And it was frustrating because like speaking of DEI, they had like the hallway lined with all these signs that said like we support people with autism, we support all different kinds of Americans. And so I'm walking in past this autism sign, and I'm walking back out past this autism sign thinking, okay, I got 8 hours for the week. How am I going to feed my family? But this is great. Thanks for your sign. I really appreciate it. But,
Window
but I
dressing.
eventually did. Yeah, I eventually did get hired there, but then they needed to like downside stuff. So like I was part of the first, it was like 3 cuts, and I was part of the first one. And that was like September of 2024. Super painful for me because like there was probably like 50 people I knew there, and because their job was so stressful, like it was like a lot of trauma bonding or something. So like there was probably like 20 people that I really felt close to, and then just like I wasn't expecting anything, and like I got on a call, and the person I thought was going to be on the call wasn't on the call, and it was HR, and they were there to fire me or not, lay me off. So it was like it was just like gone like that.
Yeah.
So, and then that brought up all these things of like, you're too slow or you're not enough, like something's wrong with you, like you can't take care of your family, and so like that just like all of the things I was scared of like this past year pretty much happened. Like where it's just like one thing after another. There's been some other tragedies and stuff, and yeah. So like I actually in spring of last year, like I was so mad about everything. The way I was gonna deal with it and deal with my faith and stuff was I was gonna start a church-based like apparel brand of like anti-Jesus T-shirts.
What?
Yeah.
How does this make sense? Make it make sense.
Yeah, it was like Christian T-shirts for people that are mad at Jesus.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So it's like you're still Christian, but you're really mad. So like the best one I had was like a picture of Jesus like with a cheesy grin, and he was going like this, and then it had like a 70s font, and it said Jesus had daddy issues too. Trademark, don't steal that idea.
Yeah.
So like I made like a whole series of shirts like that, but I never actually put them in the stores. This is part of my autism ADHD thing. It's hard for me to finish it up sometimes. So, but that's kind of how I processed a lot of my grief. Was like I made like 150 T-shirt designs. About all the ways I was mad at Jesus.
Well,
so
I mean, There's got to be a way to take that and sort of make it not push people away, I guess. Like, there's got to
Yeah,
be, like, you could do that, and then you could maybe on the backside, like, it's okay to be mad at Jesus. He still loves you.
yeah,
He, Lord, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life.
yeah.
Right? Like, what was it you said to me when we talked about this? I said, yeah, so when we go on, like, I'll just ask you what's so sweet about Jesus, and you said something like, oh, yeah, he sucks the least out of all the gods, or something like that. I was like, that's real warm and fuzzy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a love-hate relationship. I'm not lukewarm. I'm never lukewarm. It's not really not a lukewarm thing for me.
So you love him or you hate him, right? So I'm on this reading plan right now with a group of guys, Bible reading plan, and we're doing these devotions together, and we're reading these scripture passages, getting through the New Testament during Lent, and I think the Psalms and a bunch of the Old Testament. But the Psalms have so much of that, like, God, what is wrong with you? And Psalm 88 in particular, depending on your translation, I think it's the NIV, which I don't normally use. I normally use the ESV. I think the NIV says it best. You go through Psalm 88, and it's all that stuff, like, life sucks, it's miserable, God hates me, blah, 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 I hate God too, what's wrong with you? And then a lot of the Psalms, they'll get to this point, and then, like, just right where it seems darkest, it'll flip it around, like, but I trust in your unfailing love, and I hope in you, and in the morning it's going to be great, and, you know, weeping lasts for a night, but joy comes in the morning, stuff like that. But Psalm 88, it just ends. The last line is something like, darkness is my closest friend. Or my only companions are darkness, or something like that. It's not as good in ESG.
Yeah.
But that's it. Like, my closest friend, it's not Jesus. We have these chapel songs that we do with the kids. One of them is, Jesus is my best friend, my best friend, my best. And we have these signs that Jesus is my best friend. You know, he's right here. Cross your fingers, super close, right over your heart. Best friend, that's what that is. Not for this guy. My best friend is darkness. God, I wish I could even get away from you. You know? And
yeah, that's like Psalm 139. Like, go down to hell.
I can't get away from you, right? Where shall I go?
Yeah.
You're there.
Yeah.
You're here. You're there. You're wherever. But, so the point, for listeners who might be a little bit scandalized to hear the way we're kind of talking about this, that's in there for a reason. You know, why is Psalm 88 in there? Tim Keller's got a great sermon on this, by the way. I haven't listened to it in years, but the only reason it's in there, it could only be that it's because we're supposed to be able to talk to God like that too. You know, a lot of people get nervous to pray around pastors or around anyone else. Right? Public prayers. You know, Jesus discourages it, but, you know, somebody's got to lead the prayer, right? And a lot of people, oh, well, what would I say? I mean, it can't possibly be worse than that. Psalm 88, like, darkness is my closest friend. God is useless. Like, I can't trust him for anything. Life sucks and the evil are going to win. What are you going to say? That's worse. That's wrong. That, you know, you can say anything to God. That's what Psalm 88 says. As long as you're saying it to him, you're good. Like, that's the point. You could be angry and furious, directed at him. That's where it belongs. You're good.
I think my default is, like, it's like a husband and wife. Like, say, like, the husband is, like, rude or ignorant with the wife, and then the wife, like my wife doesn't do this, but, like, the wife goes to the mall and, like, spends, like, $300 on purses or something. So like that's kind of like the dynamic I see in myself, where it's like if God is not operating this hotel to my satisfaction, then um then I'm just not gonna talk to him for a while.
The silent treatment, huh? Well, I don't think you're the only one that's doing that. I think that's essentially how a lot of people operate. Whether they are cognitively aware of that or not, but the drift, because of disappointment, grief, all kinds of struggles and difficulties, people will just sort of tune out from God, and it's sort of like drifting. I don't think they necessarily set out for that always, although sometimes they do.
Yeah.
It just starts to drift, and all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I haven't talked to God in like forever. So I think that's good for people to hear. So
yeah, because you don't see how far away you've gone, because like it's like you're in a boat or something. Like, where am I?
Yeah, there was a family, I think in Australia not that long ago, where it was a mom and 2 or 3 kids. They were on some paddle boards, and before they knew it, they were like swept out to sea. And it was, I think, a 13-year-old boy was one of them, one of the kids. And she's like, all right, we're trying to paddle back, trying to do this, trying to do that, trying all these things. And she's like, go, swim back. This 13-year-old kid spent like 8 hours swimming against the current to get back to the shore or something. You never know just how far away you are until you start, how far you've drifted until you actually turn. He did, yeah, it was a pretty inspiring story.
Like they were able to go get the mom after that?
And they were able to get the mom, and everybody made it, yeah. That was pretty crazy, though.
So I guess he didn't have to keep curfew for a while.
No. Good kid. He got away with a few things, probably.
It saved your life, Mom.
Yeah. You I don't know, you almost sacrificed me in the ocean or something. But,
yeah.
But the truth is, no matter how far you've drifted, once you turn around, it's not like Jesus isn't there with you.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like instantaneous. That's the thing that's like, like if I haven't gone to church by I go to church, and it's like, it like wakes me up and just like, it feels like I never left. It's like really weird. Yeah. It is almost like a robot, like you lost your software or something. You're just like Superman movie, like with number 4, like his robot, like he's stabbing himself in the head with a screwdriver. Because he got beat up by this other guy. And then Superman's like, stop. But yeah, you get like that where it's just like, yeah, you start thinking stuff that, because you're not satisfied and you can't get satisfied and you can't get rested, and it's like when you go back, it's just like, oh, I feel rested, like I feel in my right mind, I feel content. I don't feel mad. Because a lot of times, like when I'm mad, it's just because like I really want something and I can't get it, and then it's like this other person's getting on my nerves, but really I just was wanting this thing or wanting my situation to be different, and then it's not. I'm getting irritated, and then they just happen to be there.
Yeah. Well, anger is really about love. So you get angry about things you love, right? So a correct anger would be like your kid or your spouse or something is doing something self-destructive, or someone else is threatening them, and you get angry and you want to go after the threat, kind of, right? So we get angry because something we love is being threatened. But sometimes those things that we love are not nearly as virtuous as spouse or kids or something like that. Where we love our money or our career or our creature comforts or...
Yeah, it's like, Yeah, this year, that's what's been so hard about this year. Is like my whole identity was like I'm an artist or whatever, and like to not have that. It's like, well, who am I? You know, like because I know there's a lot of times where like my son, like he played basketball, he was really good, and like, he was on the All-Star team his senior year, um, like for the whole county.
Mm.
Like he's like the coordinated version of me, but like his best game where he was like just like tearing it up, like I didn't see it because I was working and I was off work, but there was a design I was working on that wasn't working right, and it was frustrating me, and I really wanted to like fix it, and because like if I fixed it, then I would feel like okay, I solved this, like it didn't best me, you know, it's like going
Yeah.
fishing on the sea, it's like I did it, you know, and it's like that was my son's best of his whole career, and when I got there, it was over, and somebody recognized me as Carter's dad, and they're like, "Man, you should have seen it. He was going crazy." Like, oh yeah, I should have seen it. And like, but like it was gone. I never did get to see it. So it's like there's a lot of stuff like that where it's just like with OCD and graphic design and stuff like that. It's like the more anxious I am or frustrated in my life, the more urgency it feels like to like resolve this design problem because I can't control anything else out there. But if this design looks good, then that means I'm good at my job, and at least it's something, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like this year when it's just like knocked off the board, it's just like okay, you don't have that as a crutch now, so I guess you're gonna have to like learn some other things about how to be a human being that you never learned before.
Find an
So
identity.
yeah,
Else,
like
yeah.
so my kids have noticed the difference, like Angie and stuff, like able to be more assertive now and stuff. It's like my whole dealing with problems would get funneled into like controlling certain things, and then somebody would like kind of crap on me or something. Like I would just kind of eat it because I felt like it was bad to like stick up for yourself, and then I would go in like that energy would just kind of like become like dark energy, and then that would filter into my addiction stuff instead of actually dealing with the problem. So then when that happens, then it's just like, okay, well now I have to like get my act together and get everything back to normal. And then you're on like the back foot again, just like I'm the bad one. So it's almost like a self-flagellation thing where it's like I can't, so I'm gonna hurt myself. So it's almost like there's gonna be like atonement kind of thing. It's really weird. It doesn't work the way you think. It's like kind of masochistic a little bit. But yeah, all that stuff is like just not wanting to get confrontation with someone or even like say like, I like it when you did that. Like even in a normal way that's not rude, you know. And then like you need stuff, it's gonna come out. And then like when it comes out, like you don't have control like what it's gonna do. Because you just let it build up too much.
Hey, you think this is unique to your OCD autistic spectrum kind of thing, or?
It might be like a communication thing, but like I grew up like with an idea of authority, just like you don't pop back or you just kind of stay on the radar. So like if you're gonna get what you want, you have to do it in a sneaky way, or you know, so that's where some of my like people come and stuff like that, where it's like you know, so this year's been like dealing with a lot of that kind of stuff. That yeah, it's a lot.
And Jesus is helping you through it somehow?
Weird. It's like charge. It's like no matter how much I'm getting like my head hit, it's like I go to church and like it's really good sermon and everything's good. It's like fully rested and like ready to go again. Like if I didn't have that, I mean that's why people rely on addictions, because it's like you get some kind of rest or relief, and some kind of like place where you have peace or like some kind of escape from things you don't like in your life. And it's like, but it doesn't work, so then it just starts compounding problems more and more. And so like with like the word preached and then body and book, and it's like those things are all free and they can't be taken away from me by someone, even if they're being a jerk. Like no one's gonna kick you out of church unless you're doing. So it's like you can rely on that. I mean, I don't do that. Obviously, I'm trying to get back into it again, but yeah, it's like you have to have some kind of source of like rest and comfort that's not destructive.
We all need something. We all have something, whether we believe in Jesus or not. Tim Keller taught me, and I mean, he wasn't the only one. Obviously, this Martin Luther thing, like, there are no such things as atheists. That's a Luther line. We all have a God. It's just whether it's the God, the one true God, or not. Yeah, we gotta build our lives on something. May as well build it on something sturdy and stable and not self-destructive. So
Speaking of self-destructive, one of my ways I tried to deal with my unemployment was becoming a Facebook social justice warrior.
ooh. So we're bridging. So yes, Mike was. That's sort of how he popped back up in my Facebook feed. You had some social justice warrior type behaviors, and I think actually most people that are doing all that kind of stuff online, that's what they're doing. They're looking for identity. They're looking for validation and control of some kind, right? Like, we can't control anything else, but we can shout about it on Facebook and post things and get people to, pat us on the back or yell and scream at us and disagree with us about whatever it is, but either way we're getting attention.
Yeah. Right, yeah.
We're getting some form of validation.
Like I matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because for me posting on Facebook, that's a lot of the same things I would do at my work. So it kind of like felt like I was doing something important. Like the longer I was on there, like the people on my side like started not really understanding what I was trying to say, and then the people on the other side seemed like they just felt sorry for me. So I was like, this seems like a waste of time.
It is definitely a waste of time. Definitely. This is, I don't know. It's a crazy world we live in. There are better ways to be a good citizen. In fact, that, again, so bridging, we started having some conversations about a variety of things, but in particular, sort of just the state of the world and particularly America and this impending great divorce of some kind that seems to be, or at least at various points has seemed to be unfolding before our very eyes, this division and hatred and the confirmation bias, the doom loop, the echo chambers, all of these things that seem to be making it impossible for anybody to talk to each other anymore. And one of the things that if you can't talk about differences, at some point it goes beyond talking, right? And I think Mike and I, over the conversations we've had, we don't want that, and we see how screwed up each side is. We come at it from some different perspectives, I come from kind of a very conservative background. The family just exposed all that stuff. I've talked about this in other places where I just sort of like walked away from it all, just sort of like threw up my hands and was like, this is stupid. I'm just going to live my life. And then I kind of get roped back into it every now and then. And then in our new 24-hour news cycle, social media, we're inundated by it. You almost, it's impossible to escape it almost. So kind of getting sucked back in, and then not seeing anybody that seems to know what's wrong with their side, and it's always about the other side. And so Mike and I, we have these conversations. We seem to see things similarly. We see where there's so much more agreement on things that we may not, we can't see because we're in the tribalism stuff. And where we disagree, it's probably not as significant as many might think, but you never get there if you can't talk to each other. And so we actually, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but I don't think we actually know what we're doing. I mean, like, we kind of know what we're doing. We kind of know what we want to do, sort of. And this is just a way to introduce Mike to y'all, and a way to start a conversation of some kind, and see if there's a way that we can't be helpful. So we'd like to do a lot more of this, and talk about maybe some helpful things, like maybe, hey, here's this big news thing that you just heard about, and you're probably freaking out about it, but maybe you should put down your phone first and not say anything for 48 hours. Or maybe you should find other ways of being involved. It's not just shouting on Facebook. Like, here's some other ways to be part of the solution. Again, very new to this, not sure where it's going to go. Somewhat different perspectives, but that's what we'd like. And we think there are more people in the middle, more reasonable people than what we see. What we see is what gets the clicks and gets the attention, because people, it's like watching a train wreck, right? Like, you can't take your eyes off. And that like, oh. So, is that a fair general?
Yeah. It kind of came out of a severe mental health crisis for me personally, just because, like, when you're posting on Facebook all the time and you're that online and that, I mean, I kind of did it during COVID too, like where I just felt like it was my responsibility to watch YouTube every day, because that was gonna keep us from falling into the abyss, and if I wasn't paying attention, like, something bad was gonna happen. So,
Yep.
like, it started kind of kicking up again this year, where it just got to the point where it's like I was literally, like, it was not good for me. Like, I was really having some bad problems because of it, and it's like, I can't do this.
Yeah, it's not good for anybody. And I have noticed a few people that I think other people, just in my connections on social media, a variety of them, that definitely, they disappeared at some point. You know, they sort of gave up the fight. Like, oh, goodness, this is not good for me. It's not getting anywhere. I got to step away.
Yeah, like, I was trying to reach people on the other side, but I was, like, they would listen to me a little bit, but, like, mostly I just made them mad. And then once I made them mad, then they would say stuff that was, like, even further than what they said before. So I was like, I'm just making it worse.
Well, that's what happens in an argument. I mean, like, when people are really, like, at each other's throats, like, oh yeah, well this, oh yeah, well, and it just, like, escalates into insanity. And I don't know if it's gotten better or not. I know it feels like it's a lot better, but it's probably mostly just because I've tuned out of most of it.
Yeah, yeah, I can't deal with it because like sometimes people will message me on Facebook, so I'll have to go on there and I see like you have all these notifications. And I'm just like,
Don't look at yeah. Yep.
I mean, I'm not usually like that. I try not to be like that with things because that's kind of how I grew up. Is like, well, you just say no, just don't have anything to do with it, and that's the solution. It's like that. That usually doesn't work, but like with Facebook, I kind of have to have like that hard boundary because I just can't deal with it. Like I just get sucked in a little at a time, and then 6 weeks later, I'm up at 2 in the morning, like, what did this person do? What did that person do? I'm gonna.
Yeah. I've been there. I've been there. Yep. So this whole thing, it started with my Krista Publicrat's sermon series and thinking about maybe a book, and so we got into all these conversations, and here we are. So we'll see where it goes from here.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, should be. But that should be enough for now. You got any closing thoughts? You got last words of encouragement, Jesus-y stuff for people with autistic spectrum tendencies or OCD, ADHD, or whatever addiction issues? Like a parting shot?
Yeah, there's a song I like. It's like a black gospel song. I sent it to my church in Frederick, like, to see if we could play it, but like they didn't respond. So I think it's like super old and they thought it was corny.
Okay.
But it's like where you sing in a choir and it's called I don't know what the name of the song is because it's always different than what I think, but it's basically like, while you're busy trying to figure it out, Jesus already worked it out. And then they kind of keep doing that in like a rhythmic kind of like call and response. Why this trying to figure it out? Jesus already worked it out. Why this trying to figure it out? Jesus already worked it out. And then she starts saying like, my rent bill was due. It's like a poem, like saying all the things that were going wrong, and like she's basically gonna like get cleaned. And then like Jesus fixed it. And like, I love that song because, like, when they really get into it, they'll just stay on that part for, like, a long time, and it's almost like a prayer, and it's, like, very emotional. So, like, if I feel like I'm gonna, like, I need to cry or something, like, I can listen to that song in, like, the car, and just, like, he's going, you worked it out, you're gonna work it out, and it's, like, it's, like, against all hope, Abraham and hope believed, like, when you look at, like, the natural world, that's something I'm learning in my Federal church, is, like, when you look at the natural world, and it's, like, you got no chance, like, well, you do have a chance because Jesus is real. That's not prosperity gospel. Like, Job, and you're gonna die. You know, we're all gonna die at the odds of the cross. But at the same time, like just when you go to church, like your sins are forgiven, you know it forever. Like you're connected with Christ. Like, what do you got to worry about? Like you're gonna die sometime anyway. So like,
yep. Well said. I want to look up the song now.
Okay.
All right, y'all.
Well,
Hey,
it's nice talking to you.
yeah, nice talking to you too. Y'all make sure you like and share and subscribe and all that good stuff. And don't forget about these wonderful publications over here. We got, it's always tricky. There we go. Open Arms, Connecting People to Jesus, the most important thing. We got some kids' books here. How do what's the...
Oh, you have a booger on your finger. No, yeah.
Y'all, catch you later before I catch any boogers.
Okay. Yeah.